Testing, testing, one, two, three. And so the wait is over, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to season 5 of Formula Premiere. We turn to our third game for which this division has raced in, and what a prospect, what a season we have in store. We are resorting to the shorter, almost sprint like calendar, 12 rounds for season 5, and so much action to unpack. I am Ben McCarthy. I will guide you through proceedings tonight. And here at the Qatar Grand Prix, Formula Premiere's first taste of the Qatar Grand Prix, a sprint event, promises to be an exhilarating ride. So then, to many people, many drivers' surprise, we do have a sprint event tonight. This will follow in the format of 2022, whereby qualifying sets the grid for the sprint results set the grid for the Grand Prix. It's deviating from the 2023 format of the sprint. So just to confirm any qualms you may have back at home. But we have 14 drivers looking to tackle the Losail International Circuit, which is 5.418 kilometres long. And it's only hosted one race, of course, 2021, the scene of Lewis Hamilton's penultimate Grand Prix win in his Formula One career thus far. Of course, Losail will return to the Formula One calendar in October, I believe, for the second instalment of the Qatar Grand Prix. It's a track which is very much synonymous with motorcycle racing, well, MotoGP. And the drivers did seem to love this circuit, i.e. the Formula One drivers, when they took to this track for the very first time in 2021. But we have drivers heading out on track, and the lead driver is Zerkyie, the man that finished third in the standings last season with 4 pole positions and a trio of victories. This season, he is looking to startle in green. And in the green machine, which has been guided to championship success in the Constructors in Season 4 and the Drivers' Championship with Gupta on an occasion previous to that. But on his outlap, Zerkyie just trying to warm up those front tyres. You can see on the leaderboard it does say Q1. This is the only qualifying session. It's not Q1, Q2, Q3. This is the 18-minute shootout to sort out pole position for the Qatar Grand Prix. Of course, we go into the sprint and then the race itself. But we have Zerkyie, you can still see, warming up his tyres as he journeys through the fast apexes, fast corners, from turn 12 all the way to turn 15. We ride on board then with the Aston Martin. and he looks to get us underway. He looks to be precise, he looks to be quick, but what will this lap yield? Zerkyie will put down the power on the exit of the 16th and final corner of the Lusail International Circuit, and off he goes, charging down the start-finish straight and heading off into the first corner, opening up the apex of turn 1 as wide as possible, cutting back underneath, and now heading into turn 2 where Fernando Alonso overtook Pierre Gasly on the first lap of the Qatar Grand Prix back in 2021. Now Zerkyie looking to flick his car into turns 4 and 5, keeping it within track limits, which he does so impeccably. Did have a slight lift going into turn 5, but he's purple through sector 1. Of course he is. He's the first driver to complete sector 1. And now you can see heading into turn 7, he needs to put down the power as quick as he can, which he does so. And now into turns 9 and turn 10. You can carry so much speed through turn 10, more than you realise initially. And Zerkyie now charging towards turn 12. And it's flat through turns 12 and through turns 13. And I think through turn 14 as well. He manages to keep it on the island, manages to keep it within track limits. He has only one more corner to negotiate, and that will bring to an end his first push lap of the season, rounding the final corner, just keeping it within what the stewards expect of him. But Zerkyie will cross the line for a 1:21.448. How does Slick then respond in the Haas? He will cross the line to go nearly half a second quicker. The vice champion of the last 2 seasons is looking to stamp his authority, and by 3 milliseconds now, he heads Barney Dog, the Williams, with a stellar lap. And of the 4 times so far, it's Slick from Barney Dog, from Zerkyie, from Wiedebest. Revokes, though, in the Mercedes, formerly of Red Bull, is going to get himself underway for season 5 with a push lap here. Rising on board then with the Mercedes, he's looking to push that car to the absolute max as Zerkyie now goes top of the leaderboard. The champion from season 4, a quarter of a second clear of Slick, which around 5.4 kilometres is not all that much, but Revokes now coming through the second sector. Zazar Bodka in the Ferrari. In Tier AM last season, challenging himself in the Premier tier of Formula Premier, and my oh my, has he come flying from out of the blocks. Will remain with Revokes, the Mercedes on his way towards the end of the second sector. He's got traffic to negotiate. And let's see if he can keep his foot to the floor through this sequence of corners. The Aston Martin keeping it off the racing line, so Revokes getting through that traffic A-OK. And now into the final corner. Lucas is up into second place in the AlphaTauri. Lucas, who finished 4th last season and gave Ferrari their first 2 victories in the Premier tier of Formula Premier. It's mighty, mighty close out in front. Revokes will go within 0.3 of Zazar Bodka's leading time. But look at the top 3, separated by 3/100ths. Yes, 3/100ths of a second. Do not adjust your sets. It's mighty close from the get-go in Season 5. It looks like Curtis Chaos in the Williams. He is on a cool-down lap as Zerkyie waits for his teammate Conquest to be put into the pit lane. But here is Snakes. The other Red Bull driver, another star, looking to burst onto this Qatar scene. Snake sees his teammates on the second row. P3 on the road. But can he be the latest bull to join him towards the sharp end? It's not a perfect time through the middle sector, but Snakes is finding his feet in the Red Bull machine and managed to exceed track limits. And with just a handful of corners to go, Snakes has undone his good work and is forced to abandon his lap. Curtis Chaos, he's still on a cool-down lap as AJP in the Alfa Romeo looks to set about himself on this Lusail International stage. And here he is charging into turn 4 and turn 5. These two corners come thick and fast. He'll put down the power. He will head towards turn 6, the hairpin at turn 6. And it's a mighty strong first sector from the Alfa Romeo. Still 2/3 of this lap to complete. It's a good start from AJP, who is looking to show his worth here in Formula Premiere. And in this top tier, the Alfa Romeo, which has not endured great success on the Formula 1 field in 2023, is looking to enjoy more. So then, with 10 minutes to go, AJP nearing the completion of his first qualifying lap, chucking that Alfa Romeo through the apex of turn 14 and then into turn 15, keeping it well within the confines of the racetrack and going into the final corner, turn 16. Riding the curbs off of the exits, opening DRS, and that exit off of turn 16 is just so imperative. It's a long dash towards the line, and AJP 13th and slowest of the times we have seen so far. It's only 2 seconds from 1st to 13th. With all of these drivers just adapting to this game, it's only been a month since the game was released. The drivers are finding their feet and are forging super tight battles. We have more drivers heading out on road as Axel has retired from the session, which is going to be interesting. But here we have Slick. Is he behind? Yes, he is behind Jamie on the road, who is heading into the final corner now to start his latest lap in qualifying. Or is he? Is he on the push lap? I'm pretty sure he's not. No. So Jamie is going to get underway once more for another push lap. Slick, though, let's follow him in the hats as he ventures into the first corner, trying to ride the curbs mid-apex as he does so on exit as well, chucking the car into turn 2, putting down the power as early as he dares. Now heading into turns 4 and 5, chucking that Haas car in, the front end driving the Haas in, the rear end complying. It is a whirl of excellence from Slick, who finds a 10th and a half through this first third of the lap. Jamie in front? No, that may just be Conquesta on an out lap. It's Slick going out wide through turn 7, through turns 8 and turn 9, and into turn 10. You can see how much of a motorcycle track Lusail is as the drivers have to settle with riding the curbs, which in modern day Formula 1 since 2022 regulations is not ideal, but every single millisecond is worth an ineffable amount. And Slick finding time through the first 2 sectors, bringing himself into the frame for pole position for the season opening Qatar Grand Prix. The vice champion from the last 2 seasons, looking to dance with destiny in season 5, will cross the line. And it's only P4, just 53 milliseconds away from pole position. It is these mighty close margins which has caught Slick out in the past few seasons. But be of no doubt, he is going to be a name that will be constantly in the fight for race victory. Zazon Bojka, our provisional pole sitter, finds 82 milliseconds through the first third of this lap. Ferrari finding such improvements in season 4. Lucas guiding them to 2 Grand Prix victories. Zazon Bojka here in season 5 is bursting with brilliance in this opening qualifying session. The Vente Kiss has set the exact same lap time as Slick, just over half a tenth away from provisional pole. It is almost fictitious, this qualifying session, but Zazon Bojka wants to open the gap, register a lap time that can blow away the opposition as he dances on the exits of the final corner, as he has the finish line in sight. Zazon Bojka extends his provisional pole margin, but only by a brief amount. The gap is 46 milliseconds with just over 6 minutes to go. It seems like now Revokes is on another push lap, and will follow off board his progress as he journeys through the first sector. How much time can he find? He's almost in the turbulent wake of the Ferrari ahead, but he has found a 10th through the first third of the lap. And after only being 3/10 away from provisional pole, it's now 3.5 as Lucas goes to the top of the leaderboard on a 1:20.598. So Zazon Bodka had the opportunity to open up the gap. Lucas has now eclipsed him. Folks getting in the slipstream of the Ferrari of Zazon Bodka. That's going to really help him, it seems, through these corners. The Ferrari then getting out of the way just in time. But Revoked has only 2 more corners to negotiate. Finding improvements in the first couple of sectors, rounding the final corner with a dose of understeer, but putting the power down. I think that's Snakes, who has just jumped him up into 6th place, but he's demoted down to 7th as Revoked progresses to the front row. And again, the gap is just so small, just so tight. He drew Lucas close. He drew Lucas so close. But the AlphaTauri is still the man to beat in qualifying, at least at the moment. 4.5 minutes left as We The Best is coming to the end, it seems, of an outlap. I'm certain of that. Yeah, he is. So, We The Best on his return to the top tier of Formula Premier, looking to show what he has to offer in the AlphaTauri. His teammate on provisional pole. Where can We The Best plant himself in the pecking order? You can see around this circuit, although the barriers are quite a distance away compared to other tracks like Monaco and Singapore, street circuits basically, the margin for error is just perceptible. And as we're noting with track limits and gravel awaiting the drivers, it's simply a challenge of a lifetime. Formula Premier this season is going to throw challenge after challenge upon our stallions, and each of them look to stand up to that test. We The Best finding a 10.5 on his latest lap through the first 2 sectors. In the ridiculously fast final sector, he's exceeded track limits through turn 15, and with just a corner to go, he has thrown it away and is going to be unable to find an improvement. Zazon Bodka out on track on one final hot lap for one final push in qualifying. After sitting on provisional pole for so long, he has been shuffled down to 3rd. Remember, this is for the sprinters. AJP exceeding track limits before the end of the first sector. So we will turn our attention to the man that is currently sitting P3 in the pecking order. On this Qatar night, Zazon Bodka can prove to be the shining star in qualifying. One fulminating lap could be the difference between despair and pole position as he gets himself going on this final push lap. Through turn 1, a little bit of understeer, but we are all of a sudden into turns 2 and 3. The rear end just getting away from him slightly. He passes the 2 slow runners as he continues on his way in the Ferrari. Riding on board with the Ferrari, look how much input he's putting on that front end, and he's 100th down on his best time. So he's on Bodge. You can see him struggling with a little bit of understeer going through a couple of those corners. And the amount of block he is putting on that Ferrari is just immense. It's indicative of the commitment he is applying. It's indicative of the certainty of his speed. Returning to the top tier of this Formula Premier division. Looking to show his worth. And with 1 minute to go in qualifying, Could this lap be enough for pole position? He runs wide in the penultimate corner, and his good work has been undone. And it seems like he may have one push lap to go, but it's going to be on older tyres and a slightly drained battery. So who is on a push lap? Lucas is on an out lap still. So Zerkyie will get going in a second. Pudge Dog, I think he may have invalidated his lap time, or he's going for another push lap. Curtis Chaos, though, quickest of anyone through the middle sector. He's almost going to encounter traffic through the penultimate corner. He's going to have to settle for a little bit of understeer. The AlphaTauri forcing him off of the racing line going into the final corner. That is really going to unsettle the Williams. It's going to thwart his run to the line. And Curtis Chaos, looking for a lap time to put him towards the sharp end. It's only good enough for P10. Well, no, it's not even an improvement, so he has to remain in P10. Lucas was the man who it seems like got in his way, but he does have an Alpine ahead. That could infringe his hopes of pole position. Zerkyie, he's unable to improve. I don't know if he got to the checkered flag in time. Nonetheless, he's not going to be starting on pole. Neither is Zazon Bojka. How about Slick? He's quickest of anyone through the first sector. Finds an improvement of 6/100ths of a second, near enough. The Haas pushing on. Levente Kiss seems like he has aborted his attempt. So Slick now coming towards the end of the second sector. He finds nearly a quarter of a second. Slick could be on his ultimate lap when it really matters in qualifying. Just 2 more corners to negotiate. If he keeps within track limits, if he can find that first improvement, the vice champion of Season 3 and in Season 4 is looking to burst with benevolence. In this opening round of Formula Premiere in Season 5, Slick reaches the checkered flag. Slick finds provisional pole. Barney Dog coming within 23 milliseconds. But here comes Lucas. He's going to cross the line to steal back pole position. What a mighty, majestic effort that is from the AlphaTauri by just shy of 0.2 of a second. What does Revokes have? He doesn't have enough to take pole position. He's just shy by over 1/100th of a second. And so it is then. A gargantuan, glorious effort right at the very end has earned Lucas pole position. His first in Formula Premiere and in Season 5 and in the opening race of Season 5. Lucas has the speed and Lucas has pole position. What an effort from the whole field. It was a great way to get us going. And with these mighty close margins, the sprint and the Grand Prix ahead is going to be one of utter fantasy. There you have the order. Lucas from Slick, from Barney Dog and Revokes. Zazon Bojka, 5th. He ended up 3.5 tenths behind Lucas after being on provisional pole for so long. Zerkyie, our Season 4 champion, only 6th ahead of Pudge Dog, Levente, Snakes and Jammy. And then outside the top 10, you have Curtis Chaos Conquesta, AJP if we the best, and then Axel, who was unable to publish a lap time in qualifying. Well then. Comes the clear then. Breathe. Just breathe. I know I will, because that was jaw-dropping. Right then, so we are awaiting. I've got to find a way to make sure the drivers don't hear me in the lobby. It's worth seeing if formation that is on though. Oh, it's off. So then it seems like we're going straight to the 5 red lights to start this sprint. And we go from the lights to the action in Formula Premiere. Lucas from pole position, Slick from second, Barney Doggo from third. Seems like he's got the best start. He's going to challenge the Haas going into turn 1. Around the outside of the Haas goes the Williams. And Slick holding that inside line, but going into turn 2, the Williams takes the place. Slick trying to settle in behind, he's unable to do so. Here comes Zerkyie launching an attack going into turn 4 to the inside of the Haas and getting a massive swapper. Zerkyie up into 4th, he's had a blistering start from the 3rd row, but it seems like they've kept it relatively clean going through the first couple of corners, but it's still Lucas leading. Barney Dog though up into 2nd place ahead of Slick. What a start from the Williams. Zerkyie 4th, Zazon Bojka 5th, ahead of Pudge Dog and Snakes. Levente Kiss 8th, Jamie 9th, and Revoked 10th. And Merc has lost 6th, now 7 places on this opening lap. He's pushed out wide. There and he's behind Curtis Chaos. Axel is now directly behind him, but it is Lucas leading this sprint from Barney Dog and from Slick. But look how rejuvenated the Haas looks. Looking to reclaim that 2nd place as he goes through the final corner of the Williams with a dose of understeer. That gives Slick an opportunity to come back at Barney Dog and getting in the slipstream of Barney Dog. He pulls side by side with the Williams, looking to challenge for 2nd place as we open lap 2 of this sprint, lap 2 of 10. And through goes Slick up into 2nd place. It was easy and as simple as that. Snakes ahead of Pudge Dog. The Red Bull charging into turn 2 ahead of the Haas. And Snakes already making up 3 places at the start of this sprint. As we have Axel looking to make an impression on Curtis Chaos going into turn 4. He holds the inside line. Can he hold 12th place with it? No, because he makes contact with the Williams. The rear end gets away from him and he drops down into 14th place. But Lucas still leading. But look how Slick is rejuvenated, recharged. And after losing pole position to the AlphaTauri, he is emerging with such purpose in the opening laps of this sprint. Jamie, it seems like, has leapt ahead of Pudge Dog and up into 7th place. As we have a look, all the drivers on the medium compound tyres, so no driver theoretically getting the benefit of grip compared to another. Having said that, the drivers do have different setups, and of course that will impact their performance. But Slick within a second of Lucas. We end lap 2 of this sprint. The AlphaTauri going defensive as Zerkyie is the driver who sets the fastest lap. And I didn't note Zerkyie, he actually got past Barney Dog and up into 3rd place. So after qualifying 6th, the Season 4 champion is coming alive in this Qatar sprint. The Red Bull looking to pin down the Haas and the AlphaTauri in front. Let's remain on board then with Zerkyie. You can see Slick ahead getting a great exit off of turn 6. And he's really hurrying Lucas now. The AlphaTauri not enjoying the same, well, it wasn't really dominant. Having said that, Zazon Bojka spinning out. He's taken to the gravel. I don't know if he's hit the wall. Nonetheless, the Ferrari, with a strong contender for pole position, is slipping down into 14th place on lap 3 of 10 in this Qatar sprint. Here comes Slick. He's on the tail of Lucas, and he wants to dispense of Lucas's dangling sprint lead. Barney Dog looking to come back at Zerkyie in the back of the 3rd, but through the final corner, DRS is enabled. Slick will be able to utilise that as he gets into the slipstream of our sprint leader. Lucas going defensive, Slick opting for the outside line, and there he goes, dancing, dazzling around the outside, and the sprint lead is his. So Lucas shuffled down into P2 with Zerkyie now right behind. But it seemed like it was only a matter of time. Slick was exuding such confidence with the aid of DRS and the powerful slipstream going down the start-finish straight. The AlphaTauri on this occasion had no response, and look at the grip and the confidence Zerkyie is now imposing in the mirrors of Lucas. Red Bull on AlphaTauri. It's the sister cars going almost wheel to wheel. They're running nose to tail on lap 4 of 10. And with purpose, the Season 4 champion looks to strike back in the sprints. He's made great progress thus far. Maybe he was opting for a race setup. He is within 1 second of Slick. The Haas hasn't exactly raced away from Lucas, as the AlphaTauri have a chance to claim back the sprint lead this time around. As we start lap 5, Lucas will have DRS. Let's see how much he can close in on Slick. He is closing in at a considerable rate of knots. And here he goes, journeying onto the rear wing of that Haas to the inside of turn 1, but Slick hanging it around the outside, looking to respond. And Lucas has to settle in behind. He puts the power down off the exit of turn 2. Slick remains ahead. And on board with Zerkyie, does he spot an opportunity to get past the AlphaTauri? No. And Slick, this time around, had the measure of the AlphaTauri, but he is not escaping from the clutches of the chasing pack. Slick really needs to be opening up a gap of, you would have to guess, 8/10 of a second if he wants to truthfully and confidently consolidate his place out in front. Snakes, who now runs inside the top 5, coming within a whisker of tapping Barney Dog and the rear of that Williams. But still, Lucas continues on in his pursuit of Slick. Let's have a look at the battery left. He has 71%, Slick 75%. Interestingly, Zerkyie has used more of the ERS than both our race leaders. That's interesting. So Zerkyie obviously trying to keep within the DRS zone, perhaps spending a bit more of the battery, but Lucas most certainly will be as he chases down Slick on the start of lap 6. He's unable to chance to move to the inside of turn 1. Snakes to the inside of Barney Dog, and after starting from P9, Snakes is into the top 4. What a charge it has been from the 2 Red Bulls. And within 6 racing laps, they are most certainly in the phrase that AJP spinning out, I think it is, the Alfa Romeo through turn 3, dropping down into 14th. Which is not going to be disastrous. Obviously, the order will be not reset, but the pack will be amongst one another for the start of the Grand Prix. And look at Snakes now closing in on Zerkyie on this lap. And Lucas and Zerkyie perhaps struggling a little bit with tyres. Slick is getting further away from Lucas on this lap. The AlphaTauri will be more vulnerable to the Season 4 champion, the defending champion behind. Through the penultimate corner, and you can see how much they're having to keep it within track limits. Jammy, it seems like, just exceeding it. But through the final corner, Slick still leading from Lucas, but Lucas closing in. They have very similar battery levels still. Lucas, though, with the aid of DRS slipstream and battery deployment, opting to remain behind Slick. So trying to preserve his battery, it seems, as Curtis Chaos jumping up ahead of Hunter, but then losing the rear of the car, tapping the wall and losing his front wing, and that almost certainly eliminates him from point scoring positions here at the Qatar sprint. Points are only awarded to the top 8 here in Formula Premier sprints, and it seems like Curtis Chaos is not going to be scoring any. His teammate losing the rear. There is Zerkyie chancing a move to the inside of Lucas. Going into turn 7, he has spotted an opportunity. He has seized it with both hands. And our pole sitter from this sprint is now demoted down to 3rd. The Formula Premier prolongs his pursuit of perfection. Only Slick ahead, and he is closing in on a sprint success. As his teammate Snakes earns himself a time penalty for track limit violations. Barney Dog is on his tail. Barney Dog looking to remove to the inside of the final corner. The Red Bull hanging it around the outside. But here comes Zerkyie, now within DRS of the rate of the sprint leader. And look how powerful it is. The Red Bull breezing through. Zerkyie penetrates. He's into the sprint lead, and after starting from P6, the irresistible force has stamped his measure upon the pack in 8 laps, 6th to 1st. It has been a charging drive, and one that Slick for the moment is thirsting for a responsible Barney Dog getting past Snakes. The Red Bull does have a time penalty, but on the roads he's looking to fend off the Williams. They bash into one another, and then they do again. The Williams running off road, Jammy almost having to snap into the rear of him, and then he does lose the rear. He runs in too deep, almost clattering into the rear of the Williams. Thankfully, no damage was done, though Jammy does drop down into 7th place. Back then towards the battle for the sprint lead, Zerkyie just a few car lengths ahead of Slick, going into the final corner to start the penultimate lap of this sprint. Jammy earning himself a time penalty. Slick getting out a little bit wide through the final corner, but is he about to repay the penalty for which Zerkyie imposed on him just a lap ago? Yes, he is, but here comes Lucas. Lucas chancing a move to the inside of turn 1, and the two collide. Zerkyie, with a charging drive, has been collected by the pole sitter and the champion from season 4, who was marked by a measure in the first 8 laps, in a gasp, has dropped down into P9 and out of the points. Drama, sheer drama on day 1 of season 5. Slick unleashed. The entertainment illustrated. Formula Premiere is back. Battle out on the track is far from over though. Snakes does have a time penalty. He is within DRS of Slick and is lapping quicker than him on this lap. He has barely any battery left though. Slick still has a lot to play with. On to the final lap of this sprint. Lap 10 of 10. What drama we have invested in thus far. We'll have 29 laps of it for the Grand Prix proper. Is there anyone close enough to make a move going into the first corner? Axel is, and Axel, after starting from 15th, is now up into the top 7. Wow, what a drive from the Mercedes as Conquesta running out wide. Revokes will slip through. But here is Slick out in front. It seems like he's spending the battery on this lap, perhaps either going for the fastest lap or just consolidating his advantage. And what promise for the vice champion, the 2-time vice champion in Formula Premiere for this race. Lucas, P6 on the road. Zerkyie, P9 on the road. The Haas could just be granted such a promising chance, replacing Zerkyie for season 5, filling the boots, massive presence that the season 4 champion left behind. But in the opening sprint of this season, the Haas has emerged from the ashes of agony. He is set about getting the job done, and the job only starts today. But as he crosses the line, it is sprint supremacy on day 1 for Slick, behind Axel, Buzdog and Lucas. Lucas has had a problem through the final corner. He now drops down into P8, and that will further damage his credentials for the Grand Prix proper. Zerkyie will start the Qatar Grand Prix from P8 with a sole point to his name. Lucas from P9, but it's Slick from Levente from 8th to 2nd. Snakes 3rd, Barney Dog 4th, Axel 5th ahead of Buzdog, Jammy, Zerkyie. And we just have a few drivers left across the line, only Conquesta and Curtis Chaos. Conquesta is without a front wing, but no damage will be done from here on in. He will start the Qatar Grand Prix from 13th. Curtis Chaos will start 14th. But my oh my, we were dripping in drama, and Slick has reaped the rewards of it. He will start from the front for the opening race of Season 5. And there you can see the finishing order. Slick, Levente, Snakes, Barney Dog, Axel, Pudge Dog, Jammy, Zerkyie. So they are our point scorers. And from the Discord chat, Zerkyie and Lucas giving their... Well, Lucas being a bit more on the fence, but Zerkyie giving his opinions on that contact with the AlphaTauri. Zazon Bodka complaining of the tyre wear. It is punishing, particularly the loads around this Lusail International Circuit. But wow. The vice champion has the advantage. And for the Grand Prix, we'll look to score 25 points and another win in Formula Premiere. So then, hopefully no one will ready up for the race just yet. Hopefully nobody will ready up. And the drivers will just be establishing their setups. 29 laps will be ahead of us. Do expect a one-stop. Having said that, with safety cars in Formula Premiere always lurking as a possibility, expect the original established strategies to be ripped up. So we're still waiting for the drivers who are asked, well, very much implored not to press A. We just want to wait for them to all establish their strategies. And then we will shortly be underway for the season opening Qatar Grand Prix. Formula Premiere's first venture to the Kingdom of Qatar. I think it's a kingdom. And the Lusail International Circuit. The sprint was full of scintillation. What does the Grand Prix have in store? We remind ourselves, Slick will be starting from the very front. I won't call it pole position. I'm pretty sure that was awarded to Lucas, but we have Levente second, Snakes third, ahead of Barney Dog, Axel, Pudge Dog, Jammy, Zerkyie, Lucas, and Zazon Bodka. You can see the likes of Revoke, Zazon Bodka, Lucas, Zerkyie. They're all out of position, so that will make for such an interesting race. And one that we will be getting into very shortly in 3 minutes' time. Let's just have a look at what we see as the strategy so far. So we have a real mixture. Each of the top three starting on different tyres. I won't say pole sister, but Slick starting on the hards, Levente on the mediums, Snakes on the softs, 4th to 6th on the hards, Jammy, Zerkyie on the softs, going aggressive at the start. Lucas stays on vodka. We the best on the mediums. Revokes Conquester, Curtis Chaos on the hards, and AJP on the mediums. It's really interesting to see the variety of strategies that are being forged even before lights out here at Lusail. So then we have, unfortunately, our 3-time champion, Gupta. He is unable to race today. We have our defending champion starting slightly down the order, as we have one man looking to gain a crown in Formula Premiere, which has plagued him for the last 2 seasons. He ponders and he wonders, does Slick, if this is his time. Just 2 minutes to go, or less than that, until the drivers will ready up, and then we will get into the action. And if you do enjoy this Formula Premiere action, make sure you go over and check Tier AM, which is happening right now. Make sure you stay with us, but after this event, make sure you go over to Tier AM's Formula Premiere. I'm pretty sure it's Formula Premiere AM. But make sure you go over to that and enjoy just the same amount of excitement. They too are also racing at Losail, so we can get very much used to the action around the Qatar Grand Prix before we head to Silverstone next week, I believe. But let's just focus on tonight and what should be a thrilling Qatar Grand Prix, the inaugural one here in Formula Premiere, with so much excitement to be unveiled. We close in on what could be a thrilling season, the greatest yet perhaps in Formula Premiere. So then, the drivers ready up. And here in Bahrain, where a fickle tale is about to unfold, the excitement ignites. Drivers on the grid, ready to get going for this Qatar Grand Prix, with so much anticipation ready to be illustrated out on the tarmac, the 5.418 kilometres of the Losail International Circuit. Let the fantasy flow, let the rigour reign, and in a league where so much can decide so many destinies, we go from the lights to the action, and we're underway for Formula Premiere in Season 5, with Snakes leaping up into the lead, going into the first corner. There's contact between himself and Levente Kiss. Slick, after starting from the front, struggling on those hard compound tyres. Snakes actually, he's also on the hard compound tyres. Levente, though, leading Snakes, leading Slick, leading Pudge Dog. The Alpine leading, going into turn 4. We have Pudge Dog almost colliding into the rear of his teammates, but Barney Dog making a move to the inside and surging up into 4th place. Pudge Dog going on the inside, makes contact with the Williams. Zerkyie will funnel through and instantaneously is up into 5th place. Pudge Dog and Zazon Bodka side by side. The Ferrari on the hard compound tyres, hanging it around the outside and making the place, launching himself up into 6th place. Pudge Dog wondering if he can retake the place, but what a consequential start that is. Slick from pole position, down to 3rd. Zerkyie from P8 up into P5. Mega action, consequential action on the first lap of 29 here at the Qatar Grand Prix. Levente leading what I believe is his first ever race. Or he's leading a Formula Premiere Grand Prix for the very first time. Wiedebeck through the penultimate corner. It looks like he is spun out, but out in front. Snakes getting within the slipstream of Levente, looking to make an impression going into the very first corner. Zazon Bodka behind, looking to make a move on Zerkyie, and he does just that on the medium compound tyres. He is utilising the grip and his potential to swish past the champion. But Levente still leading out in front. We have Axel and Curtis Chaos almost wheel to wheel going into turn 4, but the Williams remaining out in front. We have Revokes coming into the pit lane. I wonder if he sustains front wing damage, but Levente still leading this race, but he is unable to escape from the clutches of Snakes, who we ride on board with right now, and the Alpine, the rear end stepping out. Snakes, it looks a lot smoother as he now goes into turn 10. Pins down the throttle on exits. DRS will be installed on lap 3, but it won't be able to be utilised by the end of lap 3 due to the sole DRS zone only being down the start-finish straight. So Levente still leading out in front. Snakes almost getting out quite wide into the penultimate corner on towards the curbs. But through the final corner, who can get the best exit? It's very much consequential. Zazon Bodka launching an attack On the Williams of Barney Dog going down the start-finish straights. He pulls out to the outside going into the first corner. He will break later than the Williams, but Barney Dog holding it on the inside line. The Ferrari keeping his foot in. He will find the inside line going into turn 2. He has Barney Dog still on the outside and still wheel to wheel. What's an epic battle between these two. It's Hammer and Tom on lap 3 of 29 and Barney Dog on the inside. It looks like he's going to be able to claim the place. Zazon Bojka will find the win behind, but he's going to on the inside of turn 6. Can he reclaim that 4th place? No, he can't. Barney Dog around the outside, then makes a brief moment of contact with the Ferrari. They are refusing to give an inch, these two. And in the end, as you were, Barney Dog still ahead, but Zazon Bojka through the kitchen sink at the Williams. The Ferrari will have a lot easier ride the next time they passage down the start-finish straight with the aid of DRS, but he looks impetuous beneath the rear wing of that Williams. Going into turn 15, he needs to carry a good line because Zerkyie is on his tail, but through the final corner, the Snakes have an opportunity of closing in on Levente Kiss. Barney Dog looking to break the slipstream with Zazon Bojka behind. Snakes closing in on the Alpine. Is he able to make a move going into the first corner? No, he's going to settle in behind Zazon Bojka and Zerkyie, charging past the Williams of Barney Dog. And if you want to know how powerful the DRS is down that start-finish straight, let that prove an example to you. Barney Dog, within a breath, has gone from P4 to P6 with these fighting back against Zerkyie, and they do collide. It was almost a repeat of Zerkyie of the sprint contact, but still they remain side by side. Barney Dog has to yield, and now we have Lucas making a place on Jamie on those medium compound tyres, exercising the extra grip on those medium compound tyres, but Jamie, staunch in his defence, refuses to let Lucas pass. And those two battling away still. And I don't think the AlphaTauri has made the progress he would have wanted on those medium compound tyres, considering the speed he had in qualifying, putting it on pole position for the sprints. He's only made 1 place in the first 4 laps here in the Grand Prix proper, but back out in front. Levente still leading from Snakes, but Slick looks like he is in the mood to claw back the deficits he has held since the first lap. But Zazon Bojka looks in one charging move down the start-finish straight. Levente looking to break the toe, with Snakes now closing in from behind. He opts for the inside line going into the first corner, and the Red Bull charging through into the race lead. Levente looking to fight back. It's going to be no use. We have Lucas ahead of Jamie now, so the AlphaTauri up into P7. Yes, so Lucas making a place down that start-finish straight. But Snakes taking over the reign out in front. Levente, who had been leading since the opening meters of this race, is now going to have to settle in behind as Zazon Bojka making an impression on Slick. Going into turn 6, Baton exits, the Haas was able to put down the power as early as he dared. And that left the Ferrari in his wake. Zerkyie is very much in the frame to pick up and pounce upon any opportunity ahead. And we pretty much have 5 drivers in formation. We have Lucas now on the tail of Barney Dog, and he will want a dose of DRS going down the start-finish straights. But Levente, look how pumped he looks on this lap. He wants to claw back the race lead, but Slick waiting for an opportunity too. The Alpine will utilise DRS on board with Slick. He wants to get in the DRS of Snakes, but here comes Zazon Bojka on the inside of 2 drivers going into the first corner. Slick trying to hang it around the outside, and where opportunism met bravery, where chance met success, Zazon Bojka in a flash has gone from P4 to P2. Slick now having to fend off Zerkyie, the top 2 in the championship from season 4. Now nose to tail on lap 6 of 29. These 2 drivers started 7 places apart. They are now separated by mere car lengths. And that is how quickly things can change in Formula Premiere. Slick, looking to be the favourite, has relinquished at least the opportunity of domination out in front. He shuffled down into P4. And now is in a Red Bull sandwich. But Zazon Bojka then, after starting this sprint from 10th on the medium compound tyres, he's been running at blistering speed with aggression and with precision. My oh my, how he has hunted down the race leaders. He has Levente in sight. He has a race lead to seize, and down the start-finish straight, he pulls out from within the slipstream of the Alpine, and the Ferrari surging to the race lead. Levente looking to fight back off the exit of turn 2. He gets a much healthier exit, but the run towards turn 4 is just not strong enough. Is that Zazon Bojka running wide? Yes, it is. What's gone on with Zazon Bojka? Is that an internet connection problem? I'm not sure. No, it's not. It is an internet connection problem. I honestly thought, from what I saw on the screens, that was true, but it's obviously an internet connection problem, so he still remains 4 tenths out in front. Levente ahead of Snakes, ahead of Slick, ahead of Zerkyie. Jamie making the move on Barney Dog. The Williams looking to fight back, looking for the up and under. He puts down the power, the rear end gets away from him. Dog surges on by. And you can see, at least through the middle section of this track, the drivers are able to endure in wheel-to-wheel battles. Yellow flags out on track. AJP spinning out. It's not been the ideal race, season opening race for AJP in Formula Premiere. Right, here is Slick within the clutches of Snakes in the battle for P3 and the final rostrum place. The Haas not close enough to make an impression going into the first corner. The pair of them run deep. Zerkyie plotting an opportunity to get past them both. He's very much trapped within this DRS train. Let's again have a look at the battery deployment. Slick and Snakes both have a considerable amount left. Zazon Bojka doesn't have much left. AJP running out off track once more, and he's now nearly 2/3 of a lap behind our race leader. Zazon Bojka, who on pure speed has been in the fight from the get-go, but on lap 8 of 29 it's his chance to impress and his chance to lead out in front. AJP now retiring from the Qatar Grand Prix, bringing to an end a difficult first race. But remember, there are still 11 more races after this. There is plenty of time for the Alfa Romeo to get into gear. Oh, look at Slick. He's so much closer to Snakes on this lap. But is he going to be stuck within that DRS train, which has thwarted his progress in the past few laps? He started this Grand Prix from the very front. He dropped down to P3 on the first lap. And since then, it has been a struggle to revive his opportunity for race victory. Zazon Bojka, though, with a time penalty, it must be noted, only 1/3 of a second clear of Levente Kiss. So the Alpine is the next race leader, with track limits being so strict and being strictly regulated. There's still plenty of opportunities for the drivers to fall foul of the strict measures. Slick still on the tail of Snakes. Zerkyie still thirsting for an opportunity. Riding on board then with your defending champion in P5. And, well, if we have a look at the actual intervals, there's only 1.7 seconds is Zerkyie behind Slick, and Slick is only a few car lengths now behind Snakes. Can he seize this opportunity to get past the Red Bull? He will have a chance down the start-finish straight, the same chance he has had in the last few laps. This DRS train has really curtailed him, but is this chance his moment? Levente closing in on Zazon Bojka, going into turn 1, the Alpine passaging to the inside and reclaiming the race lead, and Zazon Bojka losing the rear of the car. Snakes funnels through, Slick will funnel through. Or will he, because the two are side by side? No, the Ferrari has the measure of Slick still. But, well, not a colossal error there from the Ferrari. He's still in P3, but he has relinquished the lead and also second place in just a span of a few corners. So the Ferrari pushing and the Ferrari perhaps suffering from tyre degradation. As you can see, he loses the rear once more. Slick just yearning an opportunity to pass him, but he's not close enough. It's going to have to be with a promising exit or one with the Ferrari that struggles with for Slick to get past. But on the inside goes the Haas. Bravery in the extreme, but it did not yield the success he would have wanted. You can really sense that the Ferrari is struggling and he may just come into the pits. No, he's not. He's going to remain out on track. But with the Ferrari struggling with little battery left, surely this is the opportunity for the Haas to promote himself up into the podium places. The pair of them do have DRS, but Slick, with a healthier performing car, will funnel up into third surely. Snakes to the lead. Slick to the inside of the Ferrari. Zazon Bojka. I need to get used to that name. But the Ferrari remaining ahead of Slick. But Snakes now out in the lead. He has been released. But we have Zazon Bojka third, Slick fourth. And Zerkyie still not making an impression on Slick in the way that Slick is making an impression on Zazon Bojka. And apologies for the audio, one and all. It's not particularly healthy, but we have to make do with it. So still Zerkyie in the wheel tracks of Slick. It's a sickening sight for the Red Bull, but he knows he has the speed and the measure for which is required in league racing. He's delivered it in the past, and there's no reason why he cannot tonight. But Slick still plotting an opportunity through these fast speed corners. He's had plenty of opportunities, but going into turn 1, the apex is so tight. It's difficult to make a pass if you're not at least a considerable length at being wheel-to-wheel. Right, Levente, Zazon Bojka and Lucas all coming into the pitch, triggering the undercut on our race leaders. So it's the Alpine ahead of the Ferrari, ahead of the AlphaTauri. So they're all switching, it seems, to the hard compound tyres. I think it'd be a little bit silly to switch to the softs this early on in the race. But it is as you were between those three at least. And now this is the opportunity for Slick to show his true speed. Now that he has the free air, relative free air, to put down the power, can he close in on the Red Bull of Snakes? Out on the track, Levente, Zazon Bojka. Oh, Lucas running off the road. Lucas getting past Wiedebest, so it seems like the AlphaTauri had to make a move on his teammate, which is far from ideal because, of course, that is going to cost you time through the middle section at least, through the tight and twisty corners. Out in front, the gap straddling at around 7-8 tenths between Snakes and Zerkyie. Snakes and Slick, sorry. Slick still a not healthy margin ahead of Zerkyie, but enough to not feel under considerable pressure going down the start-finish straight. Axel in the Mercedes, who had such an awesome sprint, is struggling then in this Grand Prix with a spin. But Snakes will now come into the pits and he will try and fend himself from the undercuts being applied from Levente, Zazon Bojka and Lucas. Slick leaving Zerkyie going into the first corner. Here's Barney Dog making an impression on Jamie going into the first corner, and in fact making more than an impression. He's up into what is right now the podium places. But of course we have drivers that have made their pit stop. Snakes coming out of the pits, and I think Levente is going to get past Zazon Bodka is going to get past, and Snakes is going to be wheel-to-wheel with Lucas. The Alpha Tauri, is he going to be able to remain ahead of the Red Bull? No. Although Snakes has to bring his tyres up to temperature. The undercut has worked, but it's only worked for Levente and Zazon Bodka. And that will really reshape the order for when Slick and Zerkyie make their pit stops. So we know then from this track, the undercut is powerful. We know that this fresh new rubber can grant you a handful of places. Snakes on younger, albeit by a lap, but critically softer tyres will have the grip and the potential to race back to the Grand Prix lead. He's got some overtaking on his hands if he wants to achieve that. Zerkyie is now going to come into the pits. Slick will remain out on track. He's clearly happy on those hard compound tyres, but Zerkyie coming into the pits, reacting to the pit stop of his teammates. As Zazon Bodka with another time penalty for track limits infringements. And so then Zerkyie puts on a fresh new set of tyres. And it's going to be interesting where he funnels back out onto the track. Axel off the road once more. But Zerkyie, he rejoins this race as the safety car is deployed. I was going to say Zerkyie rejoins this race behind Lucas. And as Axel runs off the road, Slick has been given an almighty blessing. He's going to be able to make his pit stop under yellow flag conditions whilst the drivers, his opposition, are out on the track at a reduced speed. Slick will be able to make his pit stop, which is definitely, surely going to give him track position. One for which he has thirsted so far in this race, and one that, unless Barney Dog and Curtis Chaos remain out on the track alongside Conquesta, Slick's going to have track position, and that is critical in the destiny for race victory here at the Losail International Circuit. Axel also out of this race, as we are now down to only 13 drivers, but Slick through the 15th and penultimate corner will indeed come into the pits. He doesn't need to rush this, he does not need to speed in the pit lane. He's going to have the gap to Levente. Barney Dog comes into the pit, so too will Curtis Chaos. They're going to have to double stack at Williams. Conquesta will join them in the pit lane, but Slick then has the opportunity to switch to the medium compound tyres. He's going to come back out onto the track. This might be closer than I first anticipated, but as Slick's rivals run at a reduced speed, the Haas, as he comes onto the pit lane entry, he remains out in the lead. Just crossed the line at pit exit. I wonder if the stewards will have a look at that. But it is now Slick from the Vente, from Zazon Bodka, Snakes, Lucas and Zerkyie. And this safety car period is one for which Slick has massively benefited from. Because he is going to be on younger tyres, but he does have that track position. Thankfully for all the drivers, Zazon Bodka included, he's going to be able to get some battery, regain some battery, for which he has spent at a massive rate compared to his rivals so far in this race. But we are just closing in on half distance for this Grand Prix. Yet we have had so much action. And so much action will be promised to the checkered flag. If you have joined us for the season opening Qatar Grand Prix here in Formula Premiere, thank you so very much for your company. We hope this is fulfilling your racing interests and excitement. It's been an unpredictable ride thus far, as on lap 15 of 29 we run under the safety car, and Slick, having started this race from the front, has been running anywhere but there since the start really. He's only clawed back the race lead due to a perfectly timed safety car. Levente P2, Zazon Bodka P3, but he is on the hard compound tyres. compared to his rivals as we just have a look at their tyres. Pudge Dog, though, is on the soft, which is interesting, but he's going to come into the pit lane. I wonder why. Obviously to get rid of those soft compound tyres, unless he has a drive-through penalty. But I would not expect him to have to serve that under the safety car. So let's stick then with the Haas. No, he is going to make a pit stop. And he's going to switch to the mediums then. So he was certainly doubtful. It's not a great combination of words, but he was doubtful that those soft compound tyres would make it to the end of the race. So he's going to come back out onto the track plumb last. But he will have his chance on fresh, well, not quite fresh, they're already at lap hold, but on young, medium compound tyres, which compared to Revokeson's We the Best Ahead, will be hugely beneficial. And I think the drivers here are absolutely relishing the opportunity of the Losail International Circuit. We talk about this circuit being not synonymous with MotoGP, but we see much of top pedigree motorsport activity going on for the likes of MotoGP here. And Formula Premier has delivered action on this circuit in a bucket load. Hopefully, Formula One will be able to replicate the same threshold of excitement for which we have enjoyed in the past 70 minutes, stretching from qualifying all the way to lap 16 of the Qatar Grand Prix. And the safety car will indeed come into the pits at the end of this lap. And so then, Slick does become the de facto safety car. He will choose when to put down the power. He will be helped by the fact that you cannot overtake until the start-finish line. Having said that, it is a long start-finish straight here. So Slick, if he wants to reduce the slipstream effect and wants to limit his vulnerability, he's surely going to have to leave it for as late as possible to put down the power. Levente, waiting, looking and seizing perhaps an opportunity to take back the race lead. Slick hasn't pled out in front, but he will put down the power and he starts to chase away from the pack as we get back underway here at the Losail International Circuit. And look at the slipstream effect. Snakes trying to make a move on Zazon Vodka going into turn one. The Ferrari out wide and Snakes on the inside makes his way through and up into the final podium place. He then taps the Alpine and he'll lose a handful of positions, his teammates included. No, he's not. He's still ahead of Zerkyie, but Lucas side by side then with Snakes around the outside of turn 4. No, Snakes keeps that place ahead of the AlphaTauri. Zerkyie inside of Lucas. These two collided during the sprint. They're going wheel to wheel during the Grand Prix, and Zerkyie then through and up into 5th place as Lucas really struggling on those hard compound tyres. Jamie is now looking to penetrate past him and with a superb exit off of turn 7, the inside line going into turn 9. Lucas is now down into 7th, possibly make that 8th. Barney Dog around the outside, running on the curb. And he will be side by side with the AlphaTauri, bashing into one another before they head into turn 12. The Williams to the inside, taking to the curb and getting a huge tank slapper as his teammate progresses past. And I think there was contact between them two. Revokes on the tail of Conquesta. It seems like they're keeping it relatively clean with Pudge Dog waiting in behind, spotting perhaps an opportunity. But on lap 18 of 29 now, Slick with the fastest lap of the race so far. Zerkyie making a move on Zazon Vodka, and Zerkyie, the inside line falls to him going into the first corner. And there he is, up into P4. He does have a time penalty, like Zazon Vodka, which is going to compromise him come the checkered flag. But nonetheless, it's a Red Bull 3-4 here in Qatar. And the Bulls ignite. They're certainly in the battle. Slick with a 1.4 seconds lead. The yellow flags are out on track. Revokes encountering problems. Revokes remaining 12th and down to the points. But this first race does not get any easier for the former Red Bull driver. Zerkyie is coming alive as a team. On the tail of Snakes, his teammates, No DRS will be in store for when they're heading down the start-finish straight next. As Jamie ahead of Zazon Vodka now, and the Ferrari struggling on those hard compound tyres. But Zerkyie is looking on it. Yes, he does have a tyre penalty, but the sheer speed in that Red Bull is one to behold. And look as Levente Kiss looks to relinquish second place to Snakes. Zerkyie with the slipstream on not only the Alpine but his teammates. Is he able to make a move going into the first corner? No, he's going to settle in behind. But Levente surrendering second and third in a heartbeat. Is now dropping out further opposing places. But remember, Zerkyie, with a time penalty to be served, faces a huge obstacle going into the final 10 laps of this race. Zazon Vodka struggling still. Curtis Chaos is very much in the mood to make a place, and this is a terrific improvement from the Williams driver after the struggles of season 4. He has delivered a really solid first race thus far here in Qatar, and he is now hunting down the Ferrari of Zazon Vodka, who has been speedy, more than speedy himself this weekend. Jamie closing in on the Levente Kiss in that Alpine. It is struggling so very much in the first few laps of green flag racing. Snakes then earns himself a time penalty. As Zazon Vodka, he's lost a couple of places as well, but now Zerkyie with DRS on his teammate. He pulls alongside Snakes and he romps ahead. Jamie making a move on the Levente Kiss. Look how powerful the DRS is. Levente just does not have a response. Zazon Vodka trying to make an impression on Curtis Chaos. So Barney Dog ahead with his teammates. Zazon Vodka was looking to chance to move to the inside of turn 1. It was unable to come about. But Zerkyie, this is now his time to charge down the race leader with less battery. And with a time penalty to be served. He is up against it, is the Red Bull, but already he is breaching the 1 second gap. The Season 4 champion, who has had his setbacks tonight already, being collected by Lucas during the sprint. The safety car period not paying him the greatest of chances, but he has been on it. And like the champion for which he always adorns, with such ferocity and precision, here he is in the battle for the race lead. 0.8 of a second separates the top two, with Snakes just 0.7 of a second behind. As we start now, lap 21 of 29, Slick doing his utmost to break the toe going down the start-finish straight. But if he exceeds track limits, there could be an opportunity that Zerkyie emerges in the battle for the race win. As Levente to the inside of Jamie the Alpine, touching with the Aston Martin. Jamie up into 4th, Levente. It looks like he was shuffled in behind, but Barney Dog, he has an opportunity perhaps to make a move on the Alpine. In towards turn 4, Levente around the outside of the Aston, looking to set up a switchback move, trying to take the racing line. And now going into turn 6. He's unable to reclaim that place ahead of the Aston Martin. Again, apologies one and all for the audio or the sound of the cars. It's not particularly pleasing, I know. So Slick leading still. The gap is 0.6 of a second. Snakes just over 1.2 seconds behind our race leader, Jamie. I don't think he's in the battle for the race win here. It looks like he's already outside of the gap that Zerkyie and Snakes have established before their time penalties are served. But through the final corner, Zerkyie will have DRS on our race leader. He doesn't have the battery that Slick is enjoying. And that will make it very, very difficult to make a move going into the first corner. Barney Dog closing in on the Levente Kiss towards turn 1. No, the Alpine will make a move on the Aston Martin. Through the long, sweeping first corner, Jamie is forced to the outside, but valiantly, he will fight back. through turn 2, the Alpine looking to put down the power earlier. It doesn't seem like he can find a way through. Such staunch and precise defending from Jamie. Our multi-time race winner in Season 4, showing his worth of racecraft in the opening race of Season 5 and getting attacked behind from Barney Dog. Curtis Chaos then will look to close in on his teammate. It's not able to come about at this stage, but back out in front. The gap is only 3.5 tenths. Is Slick struggling at this stage? Zerkyie does look a lot quicker. Again, he does have a time penalty to be served. But with speed being of the essence of this stage, at this stage of the Grand Prix, Slick is looking vulnerable. Through the final corner once more. With only 7 laps of this race remaining, Slick sliding through the final corner, Zerkyie closing in. And with the aid of the DRS, that hatch forward gets larger and larger and larger and becomes an image of history. Zerkyie takes over the reins. He leads out in front. And the defending champion, surging, charging, and chancing his way to victory, perhaps, here at Losail. It's paramount that Slick remains within DRS of Zerkyie. That way, he can limit the damage of a deficit to the race leader. It cannot exceed 3 seconds. Otherwise, the race victory will eke away from Slick. The top 2 from the championship in Season 4. Such pedigree, such perfection. Exuded and emboldened here on this Qatar stage. Formula Premiere, turning the pages of its own history. Slick and Zerkyie writing their own chapters. The battle will recommence. These two will be running nose to tail through the final corner. And as they look to start lap 24 of 29, it is still the Red Bull leading. But metre by metre down the DRS zone. Slick, with the aid of DRS, returning the compliment. He's back into the race lead. No time penalty, no problem for the Haas. Pudge Dog making a move on Conquesta. That's the battle for 8th and for 9th. And here's Barney Dog on the tail of Levente, who after starting this race from 2nd place is not enjoying that same speed, particularly at this safety car restart. Barney Dog, I thought he was perhaps close enough to make a move going into turn 4. But like so many corners across this track, it is just so tight. He thought about a move going into turn 6. He thought about it again. And then he exceeds track limits and earns himself a time penalty. It is fantastic. Unlike in 2023 where worries have been abroad that following is a little bit tricky, here in Qatar it is not a problem at all. The drivers going wheel to wheel through corners that you wouldn't normally expect. And constant overtakes, including the battle for the lead, is just becoming a fixture at this point. Levente with a time penalty now due to track limit infringements, but Zerkyie now, right. You'd think he'd have the speed down this straight to pass Slick. And with the closing speed of that Red Bull going into the first corner, no, he doesn't. He doesn't. Perhaps Slick was spending a little bit of that battery going down the straight. Barney Dog now making a move on the Vente Kiss into the first corner. The corner tightens up. And the Williams proceeds through. Barney Dog up into 5th place. Levente down into 6th with Curtis Chaos. Perhaps thinking about an opportunity. It's not going to come about just yet. But we need to talk about Zazon Bojka, who's now 10th. And Lucas, who's now 12th. It is particularly mind-numbing how things can change so quickly. Lucas started on pole for the sprints earlier tonight. But like I've said so many times, The fickle tale can change so frequently in Formula Premiere. And does Zerkyie have the speed to keep up with Slick? It does seem like he saved a little bit of battery to make a charge down this straight, but he's not on the tail of Slick in the way that he was a few laps ago. So perhaps he's unable to sustain the speed that he did, or was able to sustain earlier on. Right, Barney Dog switching to the outside of Jamie down the start-finish straights and up into 4th place. He does have a 9-second time penalty, which is really going to refrain his efforts. There's 4 laps left of this Qatar Grand Prix. It is nail-biting stuff. It really is. Drama and close battles have been a fixture of Formula Premiere's history. It is no different tonight. With just 4 laps to go, the top 3 separated by less than a second. As this league continues to flirt with fiction, it is still the same old 2 from Season 4 that are setting the standards. Through the penultimate corner. Again, I have to apologise for the audio. I'm not too sure why it is being this exasperating, but we have to settle with it for tonight. So then, 3 more tours to go. The top 3 within the same picture. What a sight. What a sight it is. Any possibility of a move down the straight? Yes, Pudge Dog closing in on Levente Kiss. And the Alpine now surrendering 7th place. Out in front, 4/10 between Slick and Zerkyie. And these drivers have been on these tyres for a few laps now, okay? We did see the drivers like Lucas able to run these tyres quite deep into the first stint, but it is still challenging. When you're going wheel to wheel, you are going to be spending a bit of tyre grip, and when you're pushing to the nail, throwing caution to the wind, it's difficult. It's tremendously difficult. And these 3 are sustaining every single measure of nerve. The challenge for which they are rising to is truly astounding. The majesty of excellence, the standard bearers for which we expect in Season 5. Slick, Zerkyie, Snakes, and Snakes coming into the pits. Wow, he's coming into the pits with just a handful of laps to go. He's going to drop right down the order. I cannot understand as to why Snakes is coming to the pits. He's going to lose a handful of places. Yes, he is switching to the softs, but he's going to drop so far down the order. He's going to drop out of the points. So was he... He must have been really worried by the lack of degradation or lack of grip left in those tyres. But he was still challenging Zerkyie and Slick. So that's a very bold choice there from Snakes. And one which I did not expect on lap 27 of 29. And look at the purpose for which Zerkyie is stamping on the penultimate lap of the Qatar Grand Prix. Revokes has now left the session, it seems, so he brings to an end what has been not the ideal first race of the season. Lucas with the quickest laps of the race so far, but he's not going to be able to claim a point for it as he's down in 12th and outside of the top 10. And still Zerkyie within half a second of Slick. He's going to be closer, and he's going to be able to make a move on towards the final lap of this Qatar Grand Prix. Slick without a time penalty, but if he goes wide just for one moment, that could undo his efforts through the final corner. Yes, Slick going out wide, rejoining this track and rejoining this track in the wake of Zerkyie, who has one lap to pull away from the Haas. The final tour of this Qatar Grand Prix is underway. The race leader may not, well, as much as he might cross the line first, and he is favourite to, It may not be for race victory. Jamie challenging Barney Dog around the outside. Aston Martin trying to make a move as the inside line falls to him. Going into the second corner and the two collide. The Williams going wide and through goes Curtis Chaos. Wow! Taking his opportunity and taking a podium place on the final tour. What a drive, what a charge from the Williams driver. And with such elation in that Williams garage, as Jamie's really struggling, he's going to surely concede fourth place to Barney Dog. At least on the road, he doesn't have a time penalty to be served. But it could be Curtis Chaos' podium as much as it could be Slick's day. Zerkyie leads out in front, and just like the opening race of Season 4, the race leader looks like he is not going to be the race winner. And you can see there Slick just dancing with the rear of the car. The gap is going to be so tight as they cross the line. He has a puncture! No, he has the puncture, Slick! The tail was so fickle! The tail was just so fickle! He's going to surrender this race to Zerkyie, the champion! By name, the champion always by nature. And Slick dealt an unbelievable blow as he crosses the line, just half a second away. I was wondering why that gap was extending, but it was Slick who was dealt the hammer blow. And Zerkyie, like the champion for which he has always stood and always endured in, has the opening say in round one. My oh my. It was so cruel for Slick at the very end. It was so cruel. After starting this race from first and looking destined for race victory, he pushed that tyre just too hard and he fell just short. He must have only suffered it with a handful of corners to go because he wasn't exactly far away from Zerkyie, but wow. Emerging from the Qatar night, the champion and his glittering crown. My oh my. Sometimes you just have to deject for him. He is going to be gutted. But Zerkyie taking the win. And he knows that is one that from the jaws of defeat somehow emerged victory. That is unbelievable. Indescribable. Slick wins from 8th on the grid. Slick overcomes a 3-second time penalty. And Slick wins. Oh no, Zerkyie wins from 8th on the grid. Zerkyie wins having overcome a 3-second time penalty. And Zerkyie wins at the very death. Wow, what a race. Drama. And drama till the end on day one. Formula Premier is away and away with a blast in round one. It's truly mind-numbing, isn't it? Truly mind-numbing. But Zerkyie somehow, some way, finds a way. So then, oh my. What a race. What a way to get underway in Season 5. But it is that same old driver, the champion from Season 4, who is up and away the best. Well then, ladies and gentlemen, that is it for round one of this season. I need a drink. And I'm sure you do too. After the exhilaration of the Qatar Grand Prix, it was Slick who looked like he was going to come so close. It was Zerkyie who ran away with race victory. Make sure you return for when we return, and when we return with ineffable drama. We will see you next week at Silverstone, but until next time, goodbye.